is that it exists. He needs to figure it out. If an L1 is too dumb to Google something, that's his whole job is to Google it. And if he's not going to use the internal Google, then like, what's the point of even having L1?
So, real quick, I'd just like to say, welcome to the Yolo Braintrust podcast, everyone tuning in from home. I don't want to distract too much from the importance of this conversation, but for a little bit of context, we are talking about IT support, and one of the co-hosts here, Billy, is getting really mad at the level ones.
No, you know what? No. They shouldn't even be getting mad at me because I'm an L1 guy. What gets me angry is when I send them the KB. The KB has fucking pictures with John Doe as the username to show you, like, all right, this is how your name is supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to access it. Like, this is step by step, picture by picture. And the user is still too retarded to follow the pictures. It has pictures and arrows and big red circles around stuff.
Yeah, okay, but it's got to be a given that the user is an idiot. Like, at this point, just accept that every end user is an idiot. I agree 100% that users are idiots, and that they like 90% of people just shouldn't be able to use a computer. Like, there should be licenses for computers. Like I get that, but what gets me is that when the L1 is also an idiot.
No, all right, well, no. What I was gonna say is I guess I just overestimate the intelligence of my users because in my job is to figure out their problem and try to understand it, but I can't think from their tiny bird brain about how to like enter in their own name. Because some people have misspelled their own fucking name when trying to log in.
Yeah, I hate that. When people are like,
that sounds like a really common issue.
That was I remember on one company I worked for, and another guy on another team, he was adding like a text box, like a box like a search box or something to the application, and the user and one of the stakeholders said, well, what happens if I type it in wrong? Like, will it still give me the correct search results? And the guy goes, no, you have to spell it right. Like, it's not gonna know like what the fuck you're talking about.
It's not AI, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, no. It's
Wait,
like,
what?
You're gonna have to spell stuff right.
What
like,
was this in regards to?
Just a search box.
Like a intranet search box?
Yeah, in like the application, like a search bar in the application. But it's dumb, dude. Like, fucking users are idiots, man. Users are really idiots. I just love automating people out of jobs. I really enjoy that.
No. This is a doozy. Is when people tell you that they can't log in, right? And they're using their new name. So like you get married and you're using your new name to try and log in, but ever since you've been in the system, it's been your old name. And you magically think that it's just gonna update in the system because you got fucking married and you don't have to tell anybody that happened.
Yeah, that's really dumb. There's a video about that, but yeah. I just hate. I have a stakeholder that we just automated a big part of her team, and she's just really upset about it. And she's just not a nice person. She's very mean, she's new in her role, and she's just very mean.
Ask for a quick definition real quick? What is a stakeholder in this context?
Like somebody who has a stake in the matter, somebody who holds a stake in this.
But it's kind of like
a lot of money into the development of the application.
Not only that, not just that, it's just somebody who they have a stake in they hold a stake in.
So it's kind of an ethereal concept, like there's, it could be, I guess someone whose work is being put out, I guess, for example?
Yeah, somebody, generally it's managers,
okay.
This is a manager, but she's just so fucking, she's really mean, and it makes me really happy that I'm automating her team out of a job.
So, how can you do that? Like, how do you...
Because I can write code, and her job is very menial and repetitive.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how do you justify that, like, in your own head?
Because she's an asshole to me.
But you're saying it's her team, not her.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, if she doesn't have a team, then what's her point? The people that she's managing, they can go do other stuff.
Okay, so they're not leaving the.
No, I don't think they'll fire anyone but her, because the other people can get reassigned to do other work. But she's managing their work that I'm automating. So the part of so they have a lot of different tasks that they can do, but the tasks that she's managing them to do, I'm gonna automate out. So then she will not have anything to manage, so then she can leave.
Yeah, so Bobby just wrote like a reminder app, and that's how he was able to get rid of the middle manager.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, pretty much.
So is this something you do?
Is
this something you do relatively unsolicited, or is this like asked of you? Like someone comes in and says,
"This is my job. My job is to create efficiencies in the system."
And if the efficiency saves them payroll of like several $100,000 in benefits and pay,
that's a pretty damn good efficiency, buddy.
Do you get a raise or a bonus or anything out of that?
I get the satisfaction I don't have to deal with that bitch anymore, so...
Okay.
That's honestly more
valuable to me than a fucking raise. Is seeing her getting screwed over. I'll take that, because I don't expect the company's gonna shaft me no matter what. But hey, if I can get some sick satisfaction out of her getting screwed over, yeah, I'll take that.
So is this just like a... You go first.
I was like, no one likes it when the nice guy gets bullied or taken advantage of, right? But everyone likes it when the bully does.
Yeah,
so
everyone loves it when...
If the bully's getting fucked over, no one really bats an eye. So
not only that, she's just bad at her job. She's mean, new, and bad at her job. So nobody knows her, nobody likes her, and she's not doing good work. So it's like a win-win-win situation here. If I just basically make it so that she doesn't have any work to do, and we can get rid of her.
yeah. If there's at least a guy in the office that offers like good unsolicited conversation.
Yeah, if she was nice, like if she was incompetent but nice, it'd be like, ah, well, she's trying her best, but she's a bitch, so it's like great. It's like a win-win, man.
Yeah.
She's making my life easy.
I tell everyone I know, you don't get anywhere by being an asshole. It doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. If you're an asshole, you're not going places. So
yeah, there's a saying in the software engineering world, which is be quiet or I'll automate, or I'll, turn your job into a small bash script.
That sounds like a demotivational poster. You remember when they used to hang those up in like schools and offices and stuff? It's like a XKCD comic.
Fuck. Anyways, guys, welcome to the Yolo Braintrust podcast, where we're all techies and we like cool things like projectors and mixers and soundboards and doing computer.
Yeah, and what I can't do in terms of like IT that these guys can do, I make up for in the fact that I'm really good at taking like a little bits of plastic and metal, like paper clips, and rubbing it across the strings of an electric guitar to make cool noises. And that gets you a long way in this world.
Whatever you say, bud.
See, these guys, like, here's, if I'm gonna get on my gripe stool for a second here. All right.
God, you're such a nerd.
I don't think that Bobby appreciates what goes into the art of audio production and really honing it in, getting the right frequencies, making sure that it's like water. You want it to be so invisible and so transparent that the listener doesn't even think about it, but it's full of minerals and electrolytes. And
no, honestly,
trip.
I saw how difficult it is since I started like doing projections for like graduations.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just started doing it, and I look at the mixer guy, right, and he's fucking zoned in, because like, as soon as a new person comes up to the mic, which is every like couple minutes or so, they have to adjust the EQ to fit that person's voice, because some people love not putting the mic to their mouth. Some people talk really fucking loudly with the mic right next to their mouth. So you need to like make edits like a second or two into them talking, and then properly equalize it.
Yeah, I mean,
I get that, but like what gets me is that, and I say this every time, that it's the same setup every week.
well, not quite, right? So for one, and I'll start with my own end because I know it the most. 1 second. Sometimes my mic will come in a different volume, and I can't totally explain it. Usually, I'll just have to, unplug it and plug it back in. My guess is it has something to do with phantom power.
Or humidity or something like that.
Yeah, things change depending on, like Shaw said, how close you are to the microphone, and that goes for you guys too if, you're in the call from like a VR headset or your cell phone or from like your regular mic,
Or on a desk that day instead of in bed, or you're using a different thing, or
yeah, even if you're sitting on a different side of the room, it can kind of change things, or maybe nothing changed for you, but because it changed for me or it changed for Shaw, all of a sudden, I kind of have to realign things to make it work together. I will say it's easier. I think than when I'm doing music.
A little bit quicker. You're just taking forever on the getting even on the call now.
Listen, he has to drink his Red Bull, okay?
He does have to drink. He has to drink his specialties.
Listen, for one, I'll say I was pretty quick today with the getting the volume ready. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. That's a big issue of mine. When I'm doing like creative stuff like that.
No. Here's my thing. I'm baffled that you thought when I said I'm taking a 15-minute nap, you thought I was taking it in your fucking time zone.
No. It was something you said earlier because I asked what time we're gonna start in my time zone. I said, are we gonna start at like 6:30 to 7? And for that is usually like.
We like always talk about Eastern though. I feel like we always, but then again, I always make sure I say Eastern.
I usually try to too, but when Shaw said what time he was gonna be on and he kind of prefaced it, I was like, oh, he wouldn't preface this unless it's like later than usual, not earlier. So I just kind of ran with that assumption.
So I should just always be adding EST to the end of my fucking.
Well, I try to, because you guys are both in Eastern, so I try to change it up for myself. But you don't always remember to.
I mean, the world runs on Eastern time zone. I mean, let's get it like real. Like the world runs on EST.
Actually, maybe you're just too young to remember, but I remember when the new episode of 2.5 Men was coming out every whatever day of the week that was. You know what they'd say? They would say it's coming out at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. So, what does that tell you? It kind of makes it seem like they're both equally important, perhaps?
Get this straight, right? It's like international rappers release their shit when the day hits the next day Eastern Standard.
Mm-hmm.
So, you tell me.
I think that says more about the importance of America and our time zones than anything else, really.
Yeah, so I mean, America. So like, as soon as America hits the next day, which is the Eastern time zone, because we're number one, baby, New York City. Let's go. We're fucking first. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, here in Central, we get things an hour sooner, right? Everything that comes out for midnight comes out at midnight for you guys. We get at 11 p.m. And honestly, it kind of means that we're better, right?
That kind of takes away the fun of it, though, right? So
but
like when
it's
you
literally the same, but it's literally the same time.
Is it? Because if we're both waking up at 7 a.m. in our time zones, right? It's still an hour earlier in the day for me. Because time is relative.
I think that's like the hardest concept to grasp. Time is relative.
Yeah. This is something I was thinking about the other day. I think it was in the context of like the Titan.
Wait, so hold on a second. So you're saying that stuff that comes out for us on the East Coast comes out to you an hour earlier?
Well, yeah, relatively speaking, right? So it's midnight for you guys. It's 11 p.m. for us.
That happens for us. Happens to you an hour hour earlier.
Yeah, practically.
So then why the fuck didn't you warn us about 9/11?
9/11, you
If you
fucking
had an
No,
idiot.
that's not how that
You
works.
had an hour before
That's not
it
how that
fucking
works.
happened. No, what do you mean that's not how it fucking works, dude? You had an hour to warn us about 9/11.
Well,
you didn't.
here's
You let
here's
those
a real
people
question.
die. You let those people die.
Here's a real question. The Japanese were a whole day ahead of us. Why didn't they say anything?
Well, they're
Right?
not Americans.
Yeah, they're
right?
not
They
Americans.
bombed Pearl Harbor. Why would they care about?
What
fucking
about
9/11?
the
But Texas, you're American, man. You're supposed to care about us, man. Is that really how you feel about New York?
if listen, Guam, I think is the most hours behind any other territory or state in America, and so they have like a 6 hours head notice. Why didn't they say anything? So
Well,
I don't know why.
mean,
why is it
takes them- they-
specifically
maybe they
Texas's
tried to,
fault?
but they're very far away. All right, they can't get on the interstate. You had the
Listen,
whole-
no. Here's what this boils down to. You don't like the fact that there was a Texan in the White House who was really
He
good at
wasn't
golf.
in the White House, was he? He was in fucking Florida. All right, reading to children.
Well, he was. We had a Texan as president, and because 9/11 happened, and you don't like the fact that it happened, I don't like the fact that it happened either. For the record,
Yeah, you better fucking, because the way you made that sound.
but you're just looking for someone to blame, and you say, oh, I don't like Texas because it bucks the norms, and there was a president from Texas, and so I'm going to do all these little logic, goofs and gaffs to try and get us there and say that, it's our fault instead of, I don't know, why didn't California say anything? They're 2 hours behind us.
Nah, I believe two things. All right, a Texan named LBJ killed my JFK, and a Texan named GWB killed my 3,000 innocent civilians.
Did you really watch 2.5 Men, Travis?
No. It was sometimes it was on at my granddad's, but I don't like the show.
I watched that at my grandma's. My grandpa's.
I'm like, what young person watches 2.5 Men?
A lot of my peers did.
Manly men. You guys can keep talking. I'm just gonna do the
Okay.
I watched shows like White Collar. I watched 24 when I was a kid. That was the best thing to watch as a kid.
Did you ever feel targeted by shows like that?
Did I feel targeted? No, because I understood the hysteria behind
No,
it.
because Scott Shaw from Scarsdale, Arizona, is a white man.
Yeah, I'm a white man. I was born in Lancaster, Tennessee. Grew up on a farm. Had a John Deere tractor. And then I realized
Are you
I was born to be a star.
Yeah.
So I moved to New York. Got my acting license because apparently you need one of these liberal states.
Uh-huh.
That comes from a thing. So I was watching this Louis Rossman vid about how he was moving his business to Texas. So he called up like the city of Austin to see if he like needed what licenses he'd need to start his repair shop. And the woman and he was telling him, he's like, the woman on the phone literally laughed and said, "You must be from New York or California to think you need a license to open up a repair shop like that." She was like, "No, you don't need anything. You can just open it up. You know, I mean, you don't need us to tell you you can or can't do it." And then that's what he said. That's why he thinks Texas is great. And he says, "Fuck New York."
Yeah, I mean, that was perfect. There's nothing more for me to add to that. There was something.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
You one thing. Living in New York, my dad is very much. He every time he reads reports, he's like, "Yeah, I ain't doing shit unless that company is fully licensed." 'Cause the amount of shit that are like unlicensed companies like kill people in New York State. My dad will never go on a stretch limo because there's a stretch limousine company that wasn't like licensed properly, and they like cobbled together a stretch limousine and it killed like a whole family.
Mhm.
And then there's another thing. There's like this in the city called Lockport. They have these caves. They're like underground, like naturally occurring caves with like a little water, and there's like you can take a tour of the cave, and there's like a little water ride where you like ride down on this flat bottom boat through the caves on this kind of like underground river kind of thing, and the boat flipped and like killed a guy, and like hospitalized most people because the water's like 40 degrees. It's like cave water, and like so one guy drowned, and like a bunch of people like were dying, and it was like apparently just unregulated. There were no licenses or nothing, because like the Coast Guard was like, well, we can't regulate it because it's totally private. Like we weren't going to inspect it, and none of the other agencies inspected it. So like,
I mean, well, they're
unlicensed, uninspected places just end in death. You know what else was unlicensed and uninspected?
well, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
For the viewers at home, it was Ocean Gate.
yeah. Which I thought Ocean Gate was what they were calling it, like, you know how you call everything like
Yeah,
Watergate,
I get
you
that.
call
I
it-
get that. No, that's literally what the fucking name of the.
Yeah. So I mean, they kind of like what is that? They dug their own grave with that one.
So how do I check the licenses of my professors and stuff? Because you don't need a license to be a professor, but you need a license
Yeah,
to
you
be
do.
like.
You need a teaching license. Pretty sure.
No, you don't.
You don't
no,
need a
you
teaching
do
license?
not.
I mean, in Texas,
No, you do not.
In Texas, I'm pretty sure they need teaching licenses.
No, you do not. Look up any professor job in New York.
Okay.
do not
Well, that means
need-
that Texas has more regulations in that regard.
For like K through 6, 6 through 12, like
you
anything
do need
secondary
a license.
education.
Yeah, you need a
Yes,
license.
you need a license, and to get that license, a part of it is having a master's degree.
Unlike elementary and high school teachers, college professors typically do not require a teaching certificate. Academic professors within colleges and universities are required to complete post-secondary education and training. However, depending on your specific subject, you may need an occupational certification. Okay.
All right. I was looking up jobs in the bio field, and they were taking anyone with a 4-year degree. They were like, yeah, if you have a 4-year degree, we'll take you on as an adjunct. You just need to like show.
Professor.
Yeah.
If
we're talking professor-
biology.
Yeah, like biochem stuff, like important subjects.
Well, here's the other thing about. I mean, yeah, I think maybe they should be licensed because I have had shitty professors and shitty.
Bro, actually, my fucking professor, I looked her up on LinkedIn. She's been like a paralegal for 20 years.
Yeah, that is the one difference is professors generally have expertise a lot of times outside of especially depending on the school, outside of educational stuff. And the other thing is for real professors, like tenured professors, well, any professor, college courses, you have total control over who your professor is going to be. Now, I do agree, some of those gen eds, yeah, you have to do a biology, like some degrees will force you to take a biology, and if there aren't that many openings, you might not get a choice. So yeah, I would agree that probably professors should probably have a certificate of some sort, a license to teach.
I think their license usually just is a bachelor's degree in the subject that they're trying to teach, if not a master's. They usually when I was looking up,
or
they
doctorate.
asked,
Most of my professors are doctorates.
So what I saw from my school is they wanted those people with masters and looking for doctoral, like they wanted you to be on a doctoral track, meaning you come, you do research for us, you teach our classes, and we'll get you your doctors or whatever it is. You know what the fuck it is? Like you do it over here basically. And they were like, yeah, you need like proven funding. You need like proven X amount of funding to be able to, get this position. So I was like what?
What is proven funding?
Basically research funding. You need to prove you're able to get money to do research for us.
Okay.
So it's a money grab basically, yeah. It's a money grab. Like, yeah, we want your money that you worked hard to get for your research.
How do either of you guys know how they determine like how that money's handed out? Like, is it like grants from like private corporations and stuff, or is there like actual tax money set aside, public money set aside?
I think it's a bit of both, because some will get private grants, some will get public grants.
Yeah, but my big question, I guess, is like, is it a pretty even split, or do you think it's like?
I have no fucking clue. I'm sure those guys have been paid off 5 ways till Sunday by Procter and Gamble to say that their soap is the best.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of those companies do have. I think they have scientists like on payroll, or at least they'll like go to private.
Yeah, but then they won't be able to say they're done by a third party. You know what I mean? It's like the same way how police departments can say, yeah, we investigated ourselves and found out that we did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But now if the police department said, okay, we paid a third party contractor to see if what we did was wrong or was it wrong, and they said we were right. So that's two different things.
There was a. Do you guys remember when Alex Jones? And I've probably told you guys this story before, so sorry. Do you guys remember when Alex Jones like got made fun of a lot when he had that whole thing about like they're turning the what was it, the chemicals in the water, they're turning the freaking frogs gay.
Yeah.
And he just got vindicated by it. He just got vindicated. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that
No,
video.
he didn't. I mean, yeah, it hit the news again recently. I think for some reason, but I mean, this was like people looked this up a long time ago, like whenever it first happened. And there was a, I don't want to say the name of the company, but I think it was like a water company or something.
The chemical company.
Yeah, something like that.
So it was atrazine, I think.
Okay.
It was anyway. It started with A. I know the whole story. So,
Aspartame.
It wasn't aspartame.
No, this is
There was a chemical company that makes I believe it's fertilizer, a certain type of fertilizer, a certain type of pesticide.
Bayer?
And it has been
company name's not super
shown.
relevant. I'm sure they all do.
It has been shown in studies that the chemicals they use can lead to an increased hermaphroditism in certain amphibians that do not naturally show hermaphroditism. So they did Australian and they did American studies. They did multiple studies of basically introducing this chemical into the food supply and because some amphibians, some frogs do naturally change genders. And so that was one of the. There's a lot of things where people are like, "Well, it's fine, it's not real because this and that." But there are frogs, there are amphibians where it does not. They do not change genders, and in those species, this chemical has been shown to cause them to change genders.
Yeah.
Now, that was the thing about the studies. There was kind of a cover-up because
Yes.
what happened is the company that made that chemical, basically there was a bunch of studies that happened. The company that made that chemical, when the FDA came out, they needed to update their lab standards. Now, the way that the United States does pretty much any sort of regulation when it comes to an industry, they will, and there is, you can say there's good reason to this, and I'll explain the reason why they do it. But basically what they do is the United States government says, we need to update this regulation. What we're going to do is we're going to talk to the industry leaders in this industry, and we're going to ask them how we should update the regulation. And the idea is the industry leaders are experts in that industry. They know what the regulation should be, and so they can help us update it. And yes, industry leaders are experts in that area. However, they have profit motive. And so you're asking them essentially to police themselves. And so what happened with this was the FDA needed to update their lab standards regulations. So the company that made the chemical was one of the people that came to the FDA and said, we will help you update your lab standards. We are an industry leader. The FDA said, okay, what is your recommendation? And that company went ahead and said these outrageously strict lab standards. For this is how you can certify an FDA certified study and do all this stuff, and these are the lab standards you should have. Otherwise, it's not certifiable by this government agency. What that did was all of the studies that had been done so far of the chemical did not meet those rigorous new standards. So they were all retroactively removed from the FDA's website because they didn't meet the standards. And the only companies, the only place that could afford to handle the new standards was the chemical company that was making the chemical. And unsurprisingly to many, they came out with a study that did abide by the lab standards that showed that no, it doesn't affect amphibians at all. And so whether or not that was an appropriate study, what they did, that's a little different. There's some back and forth as to whether they faked the science or not. But basically, they came up with their own study that said, no, it's not. Our chemical isn't causing hermaphroditism in amphibians, and so the FDA certified the drug and allowed it to be used in agricultural systems. Now, the reason this is concerning is obviously you have the whole, corporations are buying the government, blah, blah, blah. But the real reason it's concerning is this is now, that chemical is a, standard chemical used in fertilizer or pesticide. I forget exactly what it is, but it's used in our agricultural part of, our agriculture. And it becomes a part of our agricultural runoff. When you water, when it rains and stuff like that, the chemical will turn into runoff and go into our aquifers and our water supply. And it has been linked to, there have been studies that... Damn.
I wish I had a boo on the soundboard so I could boo Shaw back for that. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Shaw's about to miss the real part.
Yeah, this is the important part. This is why you believe all these conspiracy theories and shit. You don't take it back to the
2 seconds ago.
the explanation.
But this, what I'm about to say, that was all set up for what I'm about to say, which is there have been studies that show in places where this chemical runoff is prevalent have been linked to populations where men have smaller dongs. Alright? It has been linked to a decrease in male genitalia size and an increase in estrogen. So, are they putting chemicals? Are they putting chemicals in the water to make the friggin' frogs gay? No. But they are letting there be chemical runoff that does make our men chicks. Alright?
Oh my god!
So, I mean that, people talk about the effeminization of men, alright? We don't have masculine men. It's because it's in the water, right? Damn.
I care.
does not care.
Okay, so I'm...
Shaw's pro-trans right here.
Yeah, I am 100%, baby.
Okay, but
For the
keep
record,
going.
I am pro-trans. I just wanted to... But yeah, no, that's it. That's the actual,
But it's not just that either, right? It's I mean that's the story we were talking about. But in terms of like the scheme of things and like affecting like the hormonal,
so
what would you call it? Quantities
I
of men.
think,
Real quick.
I think okay. I'm
You
worried
also
about
see
where you're
stuff
taking
like
this, but okay.
estrogens in chicken.
Okay.
There's a lot of more plastics in our diet that are causing these things. Joe Rogan, a while ago, had a pretty interesting guest on. I guess it was about 2 years ago now, but it was one of the last like science guests that I actually thought was really good on his podcast. Like one of the ones where it's kind of like delving into something that's kind of either controversial or not fully accepted yet. I think it was good. Her name was Shayna Swan, I think. She's talking about how you can measure these things through things like taint size. There were a couple other indicators, but basically, like, yeah, men were becoming less developed, right? And a lot of it's because of the estrogen. I guess we're probably getting less testosterone too, and as a result, we have lower sperm counts. And then everyone goes back to like soy. Oh, well, there you go. You made my point for me. Everyone goes back to soy for some reason when that like is like actually a non-factor and hides the ball a bit. It's a red herring.
Yeah,
with
the
the whole
soy
thing.
soy does contain estrogen, but it's a different. There are several types.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No.
Soy
It's
does not contain
it's the continual consumption of soy that is leading our estrogen levels up. So if you keep eating soy, you're gonna get more estrogen in you, and your body's
Yes,
gonna start
but it's
creating
a
more
different
estrogen.
type of estrogen.
Yeah,
it's not actually the estrogen that is.
Oh,
in
it's a
women.
different type of carbon dioxide. It's a different type of oxygen.
Estrogen is a chemical compound, buddy.
But there's different types of estrogen. And
That
the
would
one
be an isomer of estrogen.
Okay, so I kind of remember this story. Here's what happened, as far as I remember it. They did a study with goats, giving them soy, and I think it affected the goats. But then it turned out that this specific kind of estrogen, like Bobby's saying, actually has no impacts on humans. And so people are continually like referencing a single study about the goats that from my understanding, is not backed up in any other literature, and is fact, disproved in the case of humans. And I mean, there's a lot of obvious things to look at, right? Like the chemical Bobby was talking about, estrogen, the hormones that are getting pumped into the food we eat, the microplastics and everything. They say some people eat up to a credit card in plastic every single week. So, I mean, we know what it is.
Hey, I like credit cards, okay, and I like plastic. So, I
You are what you eat.
I have a hard time seeing the issue here.
I think the issue to me is consent, right? So
Right, yeah, no, that's a good point.
it's one thing to talk about even chicken, because even chicken, it's like, okay, well, I'm still the one eating. Nobody's shoving chicken down my throat, right? And forcing me to eat it. But
Well, it's the illusion of choice, right?
well, but
Or is that where
I
you're
mean,
getting?
I can just. That's not where I'm getting at. I can just not
Okay.
eat chicken. Whereas when it comes to agricultural runoff, it's like, what am I gonna do? Not drink? I can't not drink water. You have to drink water to survive, right? And so that the stuff that's in my water, I didn't ask for it to be put there. I didn't want to be put there. Somebody else has put it there, and if it's toxic to me, it's like completely out of my control. Or even the air we breathe. I mean, once again, we're in a situation where the air smells like fire right now in my city.
Yeah.
Like, I go outside and, it used to be somebody in my city would ask, does it smell like Cheerios or Lucky Charms because of the General Mills plant?
I saw this.
And now the question is, does it smell like oak or pine? Because of the wildfires.
What is okra pine? Is that like a
Those are
hybrid?
trees.
He said
Oak
oak,
or pine?
or pine, but your New York accent made it sound like okra pine.
Okra pine, yeah. See, here's how we'd say it here in Texas. We'd say, is that okra pine? I bet you didn't know that.
Oh my God!
That's right. People love it.
I feel like I'm trying to dive into a deep conversation here, Travis, and Shaw's just like memifying it.
Oh my God.
Bruh.
It's because the soundboard works so well when you go off on your tangents, where it's like it makes it memey. You're talking about going off about how the fish aren't gay. It's actually us with smaller penises. It's the General Mills plant giving us estrogen in our cereal every morning.
I'm talking about how corporations are slowly killing us and the earth is dying, and Shaw's over here just slamming the bruh moment. I'm talking about how in 50 years we're not going to be able to breathe the air. We're not going to be able to drink the water. We're not going to be able to eat the food, And Shaw's over here like, me. Fucking Shaw's over here asleep. Shaw, wake up. All right? It's time for you to wake up, Shaw.
You know what I'm doing?
Wake up.
You know what I'm doing?
I didn't know you could do that. You could turn that into yellow choo-choo jelly. What the fuck? You shoot them with a... Wait, so if I freeze a blue choo-choo, does it turn into white choo-choo jelly?
Yes.
That's
Did you see me earlier just launching Koroks, by the way? I didn't know you were watching.
I saw you do that. I saw you hit that fucking thing right off the bat. Perfect first try.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is so me when the world dies.
God damn it!
This is This is my face when the whole world of the earth, when the world earth dies.
I'm waiting for it to catch up.
I ain't been bullied. I don't like it.
No, it's good.
I was telling my coworkers because we were gonna go to a baseball game, and they were worried about the air index or the air quality, and I said, well, I mean, it's not that bad, and it's never going to get better. And they were like, man, that's a really fucked up thing to say. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
That's because you're probably the killjoy at parties, aren't you?
I mean, I'm not wrong though.
Yeah, you probably show up and you sit at the bench at the bar like, hey man, watch where you're sitting, because you know if anybody had bed bugs or something and they sit in that seat where their bed bugs are, and then you're gonna get the bed bugs. You know what I mean? You're just the killjoy at the party. No, you got to make sure they're sanitizing their glasses properly in the industrial dishwasher in the back of the bar, or you could get cholera from all the beer that they're using in their taps. Did you make sure that they're cleaning their taps on a daily basis? Oh, I better call the health department and make sure they're cleaning their beer taps on a daily basis.
People do die from that though. Actually, I've never heard of anyone dying from that.
You know, some of the
Just
best.
straight up lied. Just straight up lied on the podcast.
Some of the best food I ever ate. 1 second.
Yeah, the best food is
Some of
made
the-
out of the dirtiest kitchens.
Some of the best food I ever ate. When I moved to my second place in college, there was this small, quaint little restaurant down the street from me. And I used to go there all the time, and really cheap food. It was like $3.24 for a 10-piece and a large fry. And one day I was driving by, and the health department shut them down. I looked it up. I looked up the Google reviews, I think, and they had a bunch of rats everywhere. And they were just cooking, making great food. It was a Burger
Fucking
King.
ratatouille in that bitch, eh?
Yeah. Well, these were like waiter rats. You know, they were just having a fun time going around, making sure the customers were doing okay.
They had rats at this restaurant I went to, this Mexican restaurant I went to in Boston, in Quincy Market in downtown Boston, and they had
You
like
sound like a bitch.
$2 margaritas, pitchers of margaritas for like $2, very cheap. And there were like rats or cockroaches everywhere, and the tacos were extremely cheap, but it was like the most disgusting. And so I think somebody mentioned something, and the person was just like, it's fucking Quincy Market. It's fucking, boy, it's a 200-year-old building. What the fuck do you expect? Like that fucking Hannibal Buress joke.
Or, you know, they just evacuate it for 24 hours and fumigate the place.
I mean, they could have, but they didn't. There was I was eating at this, literally, yeah, I'm gonna dox the place because I don't fucking care anymore. I was eating at this place called the Grist Mill. It's off of I-81 in Oswego County, and I'm sitting there, I'm eating there. We pull up because we're hungry, because I knew, and I'd eaten at this place a couple of times, because it's like the only place in like 20 miles, and we pull up, and on the front door, there's a boil water order. It's like, by order of the county of Oswego, you know, all the water
Is that where the
is
cheese
toxic.
comes from?
You must boil it. And we get in there, and I'm like, it's fucking Oswego. If you've never been to Oswego County, New York, it's a shithole, man. It's very. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, Republicans. Or like, not Republicans, racists in New York be like, this is our country, and then be living in places like Oswego or Skinny Atlas or, you know, Canandaigua or Canastota. But yeah.
Or
Yeah, no,
Portland or
I saw
something like that.
Are those all Native American tribes?
Yes, those are all Native American
okay.
names. They're not all tribes, but they're names.
Names.
But yeah, anyway, Oswego County is a real hick place, and I was thinking there's no way they're boiling the fucking water here, and I'm sure half of them were like, "No, boil water order. That's some government propaganda."
Yeah, I remember when we had that big winter storm here in Tejas back in 2021. There were a lot of areas that were under
Where's
like
Tejas?
Yeah, I'm trying to remain
is that?
true to the original inhabitants of the land.
Yeah, we need to do a land. What is it called?
Land
acknowledgement.
acknowledgement. Yeah.
What
Hold
the
on,
fuck
I wanna
is a land
see-
acknowledgement?
Where all got boil water notices, but if I remember correctly, a lot of places get them. Yeah. Oh my freaking god, dude! They did such a fucking horrible job. All right, I'm gonna set this up, so that way when we can speak truth through some YouTube shorts here. Texas, when they had their winter storm, they did such a fucking piss poor job at managing the electricity, making sure that we were prepared for a situation like this. And not only did, like, I can't even imagine how many houses lost power. Like, almost everyone I knew who lived in the state, which is a lot of people, lost power. I had people I hadn't talked to since high school texting me about it, saying, like, hey, could you help me out with this? Because the power's gone. I don't know what to do.
Wait. Why would they text you? They haven't spoken to you since high school. It's been like 7 years.
This was one specific person, and it was for good reason. But I'm looking at it here. Over 1,800 public water systems in 199 Texas counties. Okay, so, I mean, I'm sure most states don't even have 199 counties. They had to put on boil water notices. It affected 14.9 million people. That's like, there are European countries that don't have that many people. Meanwhile, like, you couldn't even maintain the power, and now their water's not safe to drink either? Like, it's like... I mean, the things I could say about this, and, like, it's just unfathomable. I mean, and these are the same people... I'm not going to say it. But these people will reference crises all the time across the globe and be like, oh, aren't these people demonic? Meanwhile, like, there's barely even been an acknowledgement that this happened. Like, it's just completely memory hold. It was insane. And I was lucky enough to not get hit by either, but everyone
live
else
somewhere
did.
with better water, Travis.
I mean, yeah, Texas does a really good job at, like...
Holy shit, what the fuck? The Gristmill restaurant has a live view. They had a live channel.
Ooh, on Twitch?
No, on YouTube, but, I mean, I clicked the link on their website to go to it, and it took me nowhere.
But yeah, Texas does a really good job at making themselves, like... if they can make the most demonic decision at any given point, like, you can guarantee that they're going to do it. And then people will save face too. People who, like, have every reason to be upset about this, like people who live in the state and, maybe were without power for 24 hours, 48 hours, and, maybe they're elderly or something like that. As soon as it's over, they'll just pretend it never happened. It's like psychosis.
Psychosis.
I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it's like just an inability to correctly interface with the reality around you.
Yeah, it sounds like Texas is a real shithole.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer, because I like the state. But... I mean, it blows my mind that people, like, as things currently stand, people go out of their way to move here. Like, it's nice, but, like, there are increasingly more and more reasons where, like, just unless you are basing your decision to move off the most, like, irrelevant factors... there's no reason to move to Texas. It's like...
you should move to New York.
I think I'm going to move to Florida because I can open carry without a license.
I don't think that's actually real.
That's a thing here in Texas, I'm pretty sure. Constitutional carry. I mean,
oh, perfect.
I mean, dude...
I'm going to move to Texas so I can open carry without a permit.
Crazy stuff.
I don't think open carry is allowed in New York, first of all, unless you're a police officer, first of all.
Well, I remember...
Yeah, you're not allowed to open carry in New York. Yeah.
When
It's straight illegal.
I think... I forget what it was. I think it may have been open carry. Give me 1 second. Carry on
You can
campus,
conceal carry.
Texas.
They made that easier now. Since, the Supreme Court struck down the law, they need to show pertinent need for it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there was a lot. I think right when I started college, so like 2017. Maybe it didn't pass at the time, but it looks like it's the law now. They were specifically doing a law to allow people to carry guns on college campuses. And it's like it may have been concealed carry. But I mean, it's like what is the reason for that? You have like you have this infrastructure with security guards and cops. Everything's pretty like localized to try and prepare for these situations. I see no net benefit in doing something like that, but it happened.
I heard that some women were doing protests on a college campus. So they weren't allowed to have dildos on campus, but people were allowed to have guns. I think I saw it. There was one of those
that might be
videos
an
that went viral on
obscenity
Vine
thing.
in 2017. They're like, yeah, we're not allowed to have these bad boys on campus, but you can have a gun, so we're giving away dildos and vibrators all day. It was like some, I gotta look it up. I gotta try and find it on YouTube now, because I look like a dope.
Man, I'm gonna say, those two things seem a lot more useful for most people than a gun.
Yeah, there we go. Yep, it's exactly what you were talking about. Exactly what you were talking about, yeah. University of Texas students are using dildos to protest campus carry.
Yeah.
I'm linking it. Found it. Boom. This is this exact video I was talking about.
All right, Bobby, I'm gonna try to do a trick shot here. I hope you're checking this out. This is gonna go so fucking
What are you gonna
hard
try
if
and
it
do?
works. So I'm gonna take this hot air balloon, right? I'm going to climb up in it with the Korok, and I'm gonna have a rocket attached to them. And once I think I'm high enough, I'm gonna try to rocket them all the way to
It's not gonna
where
work.
the friend is.
I'm telling you, it's not gonna work because I've tried that before.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be such a pessimist.
Yeah, maybe you should stop worrying about the fluoride in your water, and the gay. You stop worrying about the gay hormones that they're putting in it. Let your taint live. Don't constrict it with tidy whities. Go buy a gun and some bullets and enjoy a beer on your porch.
That's the American way.
Quit being a lib. Start being an American.
That could be a country song. You just gotta dress it up a little bit. All right, so we'll just stick him in here like that.
Yeah. Stop drinking all that aspartame in your diet soda and drink it like corn syrup, like a real man.
Yep.
Well, it's a good thing I attached. Well, if I didn't attach him, then that wouldn't have happened. All right. Maybe it makes just more sense to. It's really weird that you can recall Koroks. Because you kind of like, if you like severely injure one, you're kind of forcing it to relive it, just in reverse.
What's up? Can we do something real quick?
Can we talk about
real-
nerd shit? Like
that-
how
Talk
the
about
blah
nerd
blah blah.
shit. I think it's time that we talk about nerd shit now.
Yeah, let's go for
Yeah.
it. 1 second.
Viewership's about to go real down right now in the podcast.
I think actually, again, in terms of our shorts, this is what always hits higher than anything else.
That or
If
debating Shaw about it.
No, if Travis made the shorts with the brain rot playing, with me playing zombies and him playing the game and the face cam, that would have gotten the most engagement. I could have guaranteed it.
I to agree with Shaw on this one here.
Yeah.
Travis.
I have a. Once I start making, god damn it! Once I start making shorts again, it's gonna pop off. It's gonna pop off big time. Because we got so much content.
If people won't watch it for like us talking, they'll watch it for just how stupid it is, but how much is going on the screen. Like, it'll be ironic at that point. You know what I mean? The people will see it as satire of what the podcasting is about.
Something I've learned from doing these and like, focusing a lot on the analytics is, for one, people are hard to predict. But the biggest thing I think is, finding a way to keep their attention. And a lot of that, I think that's why like those ADHD TikToks and stuff do so well, is because there's so many things to pay attention to that like. As a viewer, at least one is going to get your attention, and then once you're there, you're
watch
trapped.
it multiple times to see everything.
Exactly, yeah.
But at any rate, I would like to talk about something very exciting happened, I believe a week ago now, and I would like to talk about it.
Oh, check this out real quick. Oh, you're a couple seconds behind, but this is so perfect. Oh! This is crazy. Oh my god. Oh no. I think he's dead. Now that's a short. I'm going to make that a short. That's an easy one. So it's something you said something came out last week?
Yeah. A little video of the title Nintendo Direct.
Oh. Yes.
And I would like to discuss, I'm going to pull up all the games announced in Nintendo Direct, and we are going to painstakingly go through them and discuss them.
Well, would you rather do that, or would you rather touch on the Direct and then go and have our little Ocarina of Time Tears of the Kingdom debate, or?
Yeah, let's do the Direct, and then we'll have the debate.
Okay, and just quick heads up, I'm gonna order food in just a minute here, and I'll probably be getting off whenever the food comes, but that'll be at least 30 minutes or so. Oh, I was just about to shoot him. Okay, so tell me your headlines in the Direct.
So we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the hidden treasure of Area Zero. Not excited for that. Don't care.
Okay,
about that.
actually, something interesting. And if I do this as a short, I may pull up footage for it. I don't know if you noticed it. I think it's the teal mask, whatever it is. They copied a lot of stuff from Majora's Mask. I think it was a direct reference. Because it starts with a mask festival, right? And everyone's wearing these masks. One they show in particular is Pikachu, which was parodied in Majora's Mask in Ocarina of Time. If you did any of the mask quests, it was the Keaton mask. And then in the final shot, I think it had the music kind of slow down a bit and kind of hit this dramatic suspense. I can't remember the track directly, so I'm kind of guessing a little bit here on what it sounded like. But it zoomed in on the guy who's wearing a mask, and he had kind of a similar build and stature, and it was identical to in Majora's Mask when you're in like the intro sequence or whatever else, and you see the camera zoom onto Skull Kid wearing his mask. And the music does kind of the same thing. And so I'm actually excited for it in that respect. Because if it's drawing inspiration, at least just a little bit, there's something there to look forward to.
Yeah,
and that's all I have to say on that one.
I'm not a big Pokemon guy, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah. All right.
Next up, we have a 2D Sonic Superstars. Kind of hyped on this. 2D Sonics, 3D Sonics, I'm never hyped on because they are always bad. But 2D Sonics, now after Sonic Mania, I don't know what studio is doing it, but if it is the same studio as Sonic Mania, that's pretty hype. That's pretty good. Sonic Mania was really good. I've not beaten Sonic Mania, but I played a lot of it. I do have to beat it at some point. But I'm relatively hyped on Sonic Superstars. What's your thoughts on that?
A lot of the 2D Sonics kind of bleed into each other for me. It seems like there's a lot of 2D Sonic releases. Haven't been super excited about it. I enjoyed Frontiers, which was the 3D game that came out recently.
Really?
Clear Breath of the Wild influence, and it tried to kind of go back to a bit of like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 stuff, and so I like that, but the 2D ones, I was never that big of a fan of the 2D Sonics.
I'm a decently sized fan of 2D Sonics. I played Sonic Advance 1, Sonic Advance 2, I played Sonic Advance 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
and so I had a lot of fun with those. And then, like I said, some Sonic Mania, and that was a lot of fun too. So I really like the gotta go fast kind of aspect of it. So if it's a good 2D Sonic, I'm hyped. If it's gonna end up being like a lot of modern Sonic, which is just not good, not hyped. Next up we have Palia. I have no idea what that game is.
Yeah, we can skip some of the ones that are
Okay.
because I think anything you'd bring attention to is about the same stuff that I'd bring attention to.
Yeah. Persona 5 Tactica. Not a Persona 5 guy, not a Persona guy.
I've been interested in playing it, but I haven't played it, so.
Myth Force.
Skip.
Splatoon 3 Splatfest. I've never played Splatoon, but I know a lot of people who have. I might get Splatoon 3.
I thought about it,
it's
actually,
good.
yeah.
I've thought about it, but I mean, this might just honestly be the year of my Switch. A lot of good stuff, and I might just say screw it and just get Splatoon at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe not, because I don't do Nintendo Online, so. We have Detective Pikachu Returns. Now, I don't know, I'm, again, not a big Pokemon guy, never got into Detective Pikachu either.
I never played the first one.
Now, here is, here's one that I don't really care about, but I'm sure you are going to soy face over and gonna have a lot of thoughts on. Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, no, I never played the original. I know it's a big classic. So I definitely have an interest in playing it. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those games that I really am looking forward to. That's all I have to say. I think it'll be fun. There's a lot of, like, from what I understand about it, there's a lot of Easter eggs and cameos and funny little moments, you know, where if you kind of go out of your way or do something you're not supposed to do, you'll actually get rewarded. And I've always been a big fan of when developers do stuff like that. So I'm definitely gonna try it, in the very least.
Then we have an Untitled Peach game, which would be I'd need to know more about that. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is getting a re-release. I played Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the 3DS. I have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the 3DS. Enjoyed it a lot on the 3DS. Probably not going to buy it for Switch because I've already played it.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of getting it, or?
I don't know. I played the first game. I liked the first game. I got the third. Haven't made much headway on the third, so you know, maybe not. I don't know.
Batman Arkham Trilogy. I am excited for this. This is one of the games I am excited for, because it is. Did I write that on my games that I'm excited for thing? I did not write that on my games. That's the other game I'm excited for. Excited for Batman Arkham Trilogy because I've never played Batman Arkham. Any of the I played a little bit. I played a few minutes of one of them, but I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for Batman Arkham Trilogy. Are you hyped for it? Will you get it?
Maybe. I mean, I had one of the games. I never got very far in it. But I know a lot of people really like them, so I may. But,
Then up next, Gloomhaven. I don't know about that one. Then Just Dance 2024.
I'm getting that game because I'm fit, I'm healthy, and I'm ready to get the ladies.
there we go, yeah. Listen, Dance Dance 2024 is one of the biggest sleepers of all time. People don't know how good this game is going to be, but it is going to revolutionize gaming. In the same way Citizen Kane revolutionized cinema, in the same way Ocarina of Time before it revolutionized gaming, Dance Dance 24 is going to change the entire way we think.
Or like how the
You got it wrong.
Ouya revolutionized gaming on the television.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be a big deal. That's all I have to say about it.
It's gonna be a big fucking deal.
It's gonna be a BFD.
We have Silent Hope. We have Fae Farm. Then we have Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. Actually, I'm a little hyped for that. Because I've heard a lot of good things about the original Hot Wheels Unleashed, but I never bought it because I got analysis paralysis on what console to buy it on whether I should buy it on Switch or buy it on PC or what.
All right. How about here's this, buddy. How about instead of buying software, you buy tangible assets like the actual Hot Wheels model cars, and not some software that someone's gonna pirate 2 weeks down the line. Just just an example.
Boring. All right,
All
then
right,
we have Manic Mechanics,
just real
Mario and
quick.
Rabbids.
I
Yep.
just ordered my food, so we might want to run through these if we're gonna have the debate.
What did you order, Travis? What'd you order?
I got Chili's.
We're getting close. We're getting close to the end here.
Okay.
Mario and Rabbids, Spark of Hope, Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince, then Pikmin. Now we're on the Pikmin. So Pikmin 4, Pikmin 1 and 2 HD got released. I already picked those up. I'm playing through Pikmin 1, really enjoying it. I'm liking Pikmin 1. I can't wait to play Pikmin 2 when I finish. And then from there, I might end up just buying Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and then I'll probably get Pikmin 4. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play 1 and 2. I played both as a kid. I think I probably had more of an association with Pikmin 2 when I was a kid, so maybe that's the one I'm really looking forward to playing. I think I'm gonna get Pikmin 4, unless I really enjoy the other 3, and I'm just begging for more Pikmin content. I may skip out on 3, though. But I look
fair.
forward to it, more stuff to play,
And-
really good expectations so far from what I've seen.
Then we have Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1.
Definitely
I'm hyped
picking
for
that up.
Never played Metal Gear. And the fact that it's not only it's everything I wanted. It's the Metal Gear Solid games and the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2
On the Switch.
Yeah, on the Switch, which is I'm really excited for.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of friends who were big fans of Metal Gear as a series, especially Metal Gear Solid 3, and I never got the chance to play it. And so I've always kind of felt like I've missed out a bit. And so I'm really looking forward to getting the chance to play it.
Then there's Vampire Survivors, don't care. Headbangers Royal Rhythm Royale, don't care. Penny's Big Breakaway, don't care. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pack Wave 5, excited for that. I already bought the Booster Course Pack when it first came out, so
Sounds
Yeah.
like
Gonna get that.
microtransactions.
yep.
Uh,
Then
yeah.
Star Ocean, Second Story R, don't care. WarioWare Move It, I am maybe not on this one. I'm on the fence. We'll see how it is, and if it's really good, I might actually pick it up.
If I could actually get people to play it with me, like in person, yeah, because I have so many party games on here, and with my friends we typically end up playing like Magic the Gathering most of the time, so most of them go unused. But if we needed some party games, I would pick it up.
Then Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Amiibos, hyped for that. Like I said, before Tears of the Kingdom came out, one of the things I was hoping for was good Amiibo support. So there's your tangible assets, Shaw. I'm gonna get some Amiibos to go into my collection. I'm definitely gonna be picking those up.
Yep, and your children will sell them off at a yard sale.
Okay, I am about to piss myself, so let's take a quick breather, and I will be right back. You guys could have fun talking to yourselves. Have fun, talk to yourselves. I'll be back in just a minute.
So let's go on about the Industrial Society and its sorry, how's it go?
What?
The Industrial Revolution and its consequences on what? Consequences.
Consequences, dude.
Let's-
Travis gets we can't let Travis know that we're talking about that. Ah, damn it, he's got his headset on. Oh, fuck, I was gonna start saying propaganda and be like, we can't let Travis know, because he'll get mad at us if we do wrong speak.
Yeah, I mean we can't do wrong speak on the podcast. We're not big, and we're not like Steve will do it yet.
Yeah,
Steve will
we're not allowed to do wrong speak. Now, Shaw, give me an example of wrong speak. Good example.
This one would have been better. Give me an example of wrong speak. But I don't know. There's a lot of wrong speak going on. Like bullying isn't good. Like
I ain't been bullied. I don't like it.
it's not good to bully people. You can't really be conservative in the mass media because it's seen as wrong. But you know, if someone talks about like this guy over here,
I had a brother Fred, great guy, best looking guy.
you know, if anyone wants to talk about their brother Fred, they get a lot of pushback, a lot of shit thrown at them. We're just trying to tell a story of a man who had a problem and how that problem could be solved by just not starting. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
All right. How do I output audio into my microphone without speaking into it?
What?
I'd need a soundboard.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. But anyways, Donald Trump
Had a brother, Fred. Great guy, best looking guy, best personality. But he had a problem. He had a problem with alcohol. And ever since Trump was a little kid, Fred would tell him, don't drink. Don't drink. And he'd also follow it up with, don't smoke.
and he had a problem with alcohol. Believe me, it caused his brother Fred lots of problems.
But, I mean, the moral of the story is, if we could tell our young people today to never start, it's really, really easy to never do it.
Damn, those are words to live by.
Yeah. So don't drink, don't smoke. And I mean, just look at Donald Trump to this day. I mean, ever since he's been alive, he's never had a sip of alcohol, and he's never smoked a cigarette.
I mean,
And
but you can have like one.
No, he's never had it. He's never done it.
But you're allowed to have like one, like when you're with friends and stuff.
No, never do it. Never do it.
But like,
Does-
like one drink, right?
No, don't drink. Don't smoke.
But like one drink.
Do you understand English?
I do understand English.
So what does never mean?
I mean, but only a Sith Lord deals in absolutes. So,
No,
like,
the absolutes are what created our Constitution. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for absolutes.
what?
Think about the amendments to the Constitution. Those are absolutes. You know, all men are created equal. That's an absolute.
Well, I mean, even back then it wasn't.
I mean, but that's what laid the framework. You know what I mean? The absolutes is what laid the framework for what we have today. All men are created equal. All men have the right to what do you call it? Something in the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are absolutes. Life and liberty are absolutes. Pursuit of happiness are absolutes. All men have the freedom of speech. You know, we're able to say what we want. That's an absolute.
But
Now,
it's not, though.
There are caveats to that absolute.
Well, then it's not an absolute.
But you get what I'm saying here. It's that
I don't, though.
absolute.
But it's not an absolute.
You need absolutes because no one ever in this world gets off on peaceful middle ground. So you need one side to push it like an absolute. That's why you have the Democrats and you have the Republicans. 98%, I would dare to say 98% of people in the United States are not fully Republican or are not fully Democrat. They're somewhere in the middle. But that middle is so hard to find that people have to push towards one side. And what side they identify with more than the other side.
That's wild.
That's what happens though. You got to be absolute in your thinking. When you go to that ballot box, you have to be absolute with your vote. Can't change your vote after it's put in, can you?
I mean, but you can, though.
How?
Crowbar.
And you just admitted to committing fraud on the podcast.
I didn't say I did it. I didn't say I did it. I just said somebody could.
Wow.
Right? Me saying that murder exists, right? Somebody can't.
Travis, you're gonna have to scrap the entire pod.
Fuck!
Bobby just admitted to committing voting fraud on the podcast.
Damn it!
I did not vote twice. In fact, I didn't even get to vote yesterday, unfortunately.
I did not. It's not true.
One of
If
my
we-
favorite pleasures in life is voting legally in this country, and I didn't get to do it yesterday because I didn't have a race in my district.
I was listening to you guys on my AirPods while I probably shouldn't.
You couldn't hear us. He had his AirPods in.
But if we get time at the end, I actually do want to show you guys something. It's one of my favorite clips of all time. It's of Donald Trump. And it's only, I don't even remember how I found it. It has like 2,000 views. And it's like the best intersection of like my interests. And it's him just being the funniest guy. Pre-presidency, well before his presidency. But yeah. Let me see.
Okay, well you pull that up. Can I mention the last game on the Nintendo Direct and give my final?
Yeah, well I'm not gonna do it right
thoughts
now.
on
We're gonna debate. But yeah, go ahead and do that.
Can I give my final thoughts on the Nintendo Direct?
Yeah.
So the final game is Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I am very hyped for. I'm just excited. It's a new 2D Super Mario game. Very excited. What are your thoughts on Super Mario Wonder?
I'm gonna get it. I look forward to it. I don't yet totally get what makes it different from older 2D titles, but I was a big fan of Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and Super Mario 3. So if it's good, it's good, and I'd be looking forward to that.
So now I'd like to just say my final thoughts on the on this Nintendo Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of the games, I'm just double checking, just counting everything up. Five of the games of that list were remakes and remasters onto the Switch. Out of those 5, I'm hyped for, I think 4 of the 5, or at least 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
And I have gone on record. We've had a previous debate on the podcast about my stance on remakes and remasters of video games, and I'd like to publicly change my opinion because I am very hyped on these remakes. My previous thought, if any longtime watchers of the pod know, I was very against remasters of games. I thought, just play them on the original console. And I think that, game historians and preservationists are very important, and we should be able to buy games in the original consoles that they came on indefinitely, and you should just be able to play them on the original console. I'm kind of changing that because I'm very much enjoying Pikmin 1, which is a remake, came out for GameCube, and I'm playing it on Switch, and I'm not using an original GameCube controller. And I'm very much enjoying it. So I do think that remasters are good now, actually, to a certain extent. I will say some consoles are probably don't accept remasters better, right? Like DS, 3DS, Wii, and Wii U. They're harder to remaster. Now you can remaster a Wii game with the Switch because you have the Joy-Cons can be used as Wiimotes, but the other games, those other consoles have too much gimmick to do it. But
it'll be interesting to see how they make it work. With like Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, and and especially because a lot of the puzzles for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon were 3D based, right? Like the idea was you would use the 3D to help you out.
All right. Yeah, let's get to Zelda, because we are getting towards the end of our time here.
Okay.
Unless you just want to save it for next time.
No, we can get to Zelda now. Let's do it.
Okay, give me 1 second. I just gotta close my windows. It's getting dark out.
You don't want to keep your window open in case the delivery guy comes by and you can say just hand it through the window.
Yeah, that actually, if I could open the upper part of my window, that would work. So Bobby and I had a bit of a disagreement. I enjoy Tears of the Kingdom. And Bobby does too, obviously, right? This is most of the hosts on this podcast are big fans of Zelda. Now,
And one of the hosts is wrong.
yeah. Now there's a claim that Bobby made that I disagree with, but I don't think well, I haven't been able to expressly state why yet. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. So Bobby made the claim that Tears of the Kingdom is the best Zelda game of all time. And at this point, games like Ocarina of Time are officially totally out of date. And I came in with a bit of a rebuttal, saying that I think that
I don't. Whoa, hold
you
on,
can't compare them on the same metrics.
Hold on a second. Because I want to make it very clear. I did not say games like Ocarina of Time are out of date. I did say that to a certain extent they are products of their time, but my point was Tears of the Kingdom is so good. It is a league one. If you were to, because it originally came from us talking about maybe doing a new tier list. Tears is out. I would say Tears of the Kingdom is one tier above every other Zelda game. And we put in our last tier list Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Breath of the Wild in the S tier. And I would say that if you're to keep S tier, Tears of the Kingdom goes in it, and all three of those games, everything else gets bumped down a tier. That's how good I think Tears of the Kingdom is.
Yeah, and so I said I think Ocarina of Time should be an S tier. And, you know, I'm just kind of summarizing her argument, or paraphrasing. But, you know, I think you would agree in the sense that, like, Tears of the Kingdom made evolutions that make Ocarina of Time kind of like an outdated comparison. Now, where I disagreed with you, we didn't fully get into, and I want to get into that here. I think, and I'm trying to think about the best way to present this. I'm still of the mind, as it stands, that I think Ocarina of Time is still a little better. Although I really enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom, and, you know, I have a hard time really saying one is objectively better than the other, or subjectively. And I think where they excel and where they fall short makes it hard to compare the games. For example, I think Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, in this newest evolution of the game, or of the franchise, they've downplayed story quite a bit, and they've made it hard to really lead you through a world and feeling like it's evolving alongside with you and being able to tell a complex story where things change, right? Ocarina of Time famously, you know, uses a time travel mechanic. I don't think you could do that in a game like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. But that's not necessarily a fault on it, you know? It still tells a story. It does it through memories. It does it through, you know, setting kind of everything up at the beginning of the game and having the stories be told respective to their independent regions instead of, you know, you're going from here to here to here to here. But where, you know, Tears of the Kingdom is just objectively, you know, better than Ocarina of Time is in a lot of, like, the gameplay elements, like, you know, building things, kind of making the world fit your playstyle instead of the other way around. And as such, my real argument is that you can't compare them that much on the same metrics. It's just too hard, right? And therefore, you can't necessarily say one is better or worse than the other. I think I just kind of rambled my way through that, but I hope it makes sense.
So yeah, I guess
I'm trying to remember the context as I'm going through it too. So I'm
in terms of this is the first time I'm hearing your argument, Travis, because you're keeping it for the podcast. And
yeah,
that was the point.
And I'm trying to remember what it is on the fly.
Yeah, in terms of that, I say that, yeah, I mean, because Ocarina of Time is more inherently linear, more linear than the Tears of the Kingdom. And Breath of the Wild, I think, is even more open world than Tears of the Kingdom. I think Tears of the Kingdom is more linear than Breath of the Wild. And the 17-minute any % speedrun time for Breath with even though there's glitches, it's not major glitches. Shows that. The thing is, I think the idea that Tears of the Kingdom doesn't change the world. I mean, yeah, it doesn't change. I don't know. I feel like Ocarina of Time, the story aspects are there, but it's not as pronounced. Maybe it feels to me like the story aspects are more pronounced only because there's less of the other side stories. Whereas Tears of the Kingdom has not only the main story, the main quest line, but it has all of these other smaller side quests and side adventures, to the point where they delineate side quests and side adventures and shrines and little itty bitty things. So I think that Tears of the Kingdom has as much story, if not more, main story than Ocarina of Time. And I think that you can play Tears of the Kingdom in a relatively linear fashion because the game does, I mean, let's not pretend we're DSP over here. The game does lead you through it, right? The game does tell you go to Rito Village, and then basically kind of every 5 seconds after you finish Rito Village, you go back to the Lookout Landing. Everyone's talking about Eldon. Go to Eldon. Go to Eldon. Go to Eldon. You got to go to Terrytown. Go to Eldon. Go to Terrytown.
Right.
And it's like, okay, fine, I'll go up there. So you kind of go throughout the map in this clockwise fashion, starting from the northwest, and you hit all of those regions. And so it does lead you through that, and the regions do change. I mean, you start off in Rito Village.
Now, I do want to make clear that I am impressed in Tears of the Kingdom how the regions actually change when you beat the dungeons. That is something that they did in Majora's Mask, and the second I saw that like Rito Village was snowed in, I was like, oh my god, if they actually like have these dynamic regions, I'm gonna lose my mind, and I am very impressed by that.
So I get my point there is if that's your main argument that, you know, Ocarina of Time does this, change, the world changes with you, well, so does Tears of the Kingdom. So you can't say that is inherently different because it's not.
So I'm gonna be honest, Link in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom has a lot less character depth to me than Link does in Ocarina of Time. I don't know. Well, and you know, he appears in Majora's Mask too, and then eventually later in Twilight Princess. So he's kind of a big character, but Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Link, because there are like no cutscenes, for example, where he reacts to stuff, or he doesn't really have too much of a backstory. He sort of does, but it's told in memories that you don't necessarily have to get. And you can get out of order. There's nothing really tangible to him in these games to me outside of like the what do they call it, where it's like a blank slate for the character to put their own idea of what the character is into it. Yeah. Whereas Ocarina of Time Link, I mean, it starts out on a pretty well, it doesn't start out on that note, but the more you learn about Link's backstory, the more sour it gets. His mom was killed, I think his dad was killed in the Hyrule Civil War, and then, his mom brought him here.
In Ocarina of Time? I don't remember that in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, you learn it from the Deku Tree sapling, after you beat the Forest Temple. But Link's dad was killed in the Hyrule Civil War, I think. I know he fought in it at least, and his mom was dying. Link's mom was dying, and so she brought him to the Korkiri Forest. In her last moments, she, bestowed him upon the Great Deku Tree and said, hey, please take care of my kid for me. And then she just died. And if there's, like, a supplementary material that suggests that she died and turned into a tree...
Well, you can't add the supplementary material.
Well, no, yeah, I'm just saying this is an aside because it's an interesting point. Is the supplementary material suggests that she died and turned into a tree, and that one of the Koroks carved out that tree and made it a house. Just a little fun fact. Now, is that canon? I don't know. But, and then you start to get to know, Zelda. You see her for the first time as a kid when you, sneak into Hyrule Castle. And then you get to know this character, Sheik, and then you find out Sheik is Zelda, and then, Zelda reveals herself to you, and she gets in prison, and you save her at the end, and you get sent back in time, and you have this amazing cast of characters like Saria knows you, Darunia knows you, Princess Ruto wants to marry you, Impa,
Well, but
Naburu.
you have that
I mean,
incredible
you
cast
feel
of characters in Tears too.
well. Where I'm going is I feel like those characters are more tangible and like you have a more serious relationship with them. Whereas, and maybe some of it's just even the quantity of the sages of the characters, but Tulin, I didn't get any real emotion out of.
Okay, Tulin, Tulin is whatever because he's kind of a new character.
Yeah.
He was such a small. Technically, I think they all were existing characters in Breath of the Wild, and I'm allowed to. Here's the fun thing, because Tears of the Kingdom is the sequel. I'm allowed to reference some spots in Tears of the Kingdom being a good game, but I don't think you're allowed to reference anything in Majora's Mask to support Ocarina of Time.
Well, I am going to bring up some of the structuring in Majora's Mask because I think it's easier to prove a point. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, Yunobo was a big character. Like
Yunobo's story in Tears of the Kingdom was cool. I'll give him that much, but not in Breath of the Wild.
And he has a relationship with Link, and I mean, Sidon.
I mean, he's.
What are you talking about? Prince Sidon is like, as soon as you see him again, he's like, oh my! Everyone's like, oh my god, it's the savior of the fucking fish people.
He just felt too superficial of a character to me. I don't know.
But that's like, you talk about like relationship to Link. Sidon is like, you are my best friend. Like, I love, like, you saved my people. Like, you are the save. Like, everyone in when you get to the Zora, like, you are treated as royalty because it's like, holy shit, you've returned. This king, this savior of our people has returned. Sure. And then immediately you fucking clean off the statue, and they're like, oh my god, he truly is a god among men. Like, the cast and I don't know, the cast of characters is so much bigger in Tears of the Kingdom, and I feel like they're more fleshed out. Like the secondary and tertiary characters, the minor characters, like Addison. Addison is just such a fun character. I love
words
Addison.
Like fucking tertiary. Oh my god.
Addison is such a fun character.
I couldn't even. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't tell you who Addison is.
The guy who's putting up all the President Hudson signs.
Oh, see, okay, so here's I agree with the side quest, but as like a character, like, he is completely like irrelevant to me. I mean, he's as far as those sorts of characters,
three-dimensional, but
as far as those characters existed in Ocarina of Time, you would have an easier time remembering them and being able to reference them in a conversation, right? Something else I was gonna say there. So many of these characters,
Master Koga.
Master Koga is a good character. Yeah, I'll give you that for sure. But I'm trying to remember the argument on the fly. I think another thing where Ocarina of Time really excelled at. And as for the story argument, I mean, I just don't think.
Well, I think the other thing is hard to debate the story right now because neither of us have completed Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I can't really get into is Tears' main storyline better than Ocarina of Time because I have not beaten the main storyline of Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Man, this guy picked up another order, and he's been in the same place for like 15 minutes. Oh my gosh.
I don't do DoorDash. That's a rant for another time.
Well,
yeah, my favorite thing is how Travis owns a car, lives in a car-based infrastructure city, and decides to DoorDash food.
Because otherwise I would have had to get off like 30-40 minutes ago. So I'm just saying.
Are you gonna write it off as a business expense at the end of the year?
No.
You probably should.
But man, I'm just not. I hold on. Let me actually see if I took notes on this.
My point is that Tears of the Kingdom is a league of its own. It is amazing. And the only argument I guess I can understand in terms of why Tears of the Kingdom is not the best Zelda, is not a league of its own, and what the argument I thought you were going to bring up is it's not classic Zelda.
Well, that's
It's
I mean, it's
doesn't
just a
have
different
the
format.
dungeons, it doesn't have, yeah, it's a little different form. But my rebuttal to that argument, if you could let me build a straw man and knock him down, is that I think they fixed the shrines in Tears, and I think the shrines now
Shrines are
in
good.
Tears are they're scratching that itch. And the labyrinths.
The labyrinths are fun. Yeah.
You played a labyrinth. You see. Well, you played the Hebrew labyrinth after you did Rito Village, like I did. You see what I mean about? I felt like the labyrinth was more Zelda dungeony than the Rito dungeon.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm just gonna at least try to jot out my points because maybe we can return to this later. So the story, I feel like it allowed for less character development. I mean, it's just hard because I don't think we agree on it. So I don't really have a good way of explaining it or trying to convince you to my side. I just know that this is something that I perceive as Tears of the Kingdom. Just like it doesn't have a real way to like pull you in with the story. Like something that's just really disappointing to me is, having to pick up the story from getting memories. And another thing is, because it's so open, I think being open in some ways is a bit of a curse, right? Like I think to when I was getting memories and I first, I got the first memory in Tears of the Kingdom, Dragon's Tear, whatever it is, and I went to the place where you unlocked the quest line to get the other memories. And I'm like, oh, these seem to be in order. Hopefully I get them in the right order. And then I leave and I immediately get the last memory. And it spoils so much of the plot. So much of, like, what's hiding. And I was just like, oh, come on, man. I was going based off of, there was a map in the room where you... Do you know the room I'm talking about? In the
Yeah, I mean, I've taken photos of that on my Switch, and using the in-game camera, and to make sure that I get them in order, and I've been able to get them in order so far.
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong 8. I was looking at the one on the ground instead of the one surrounding the room. And so I was going based off that.
The one surrounding the room tells you the order. The one on the ground just tells you where they are.
Right.
Kind of how a map works.
Well, I think they said it was like, go around, clockwise or something like that. And so I was doing that based off the map. And so much of it was just spoiled. And it's like, well, what the hell, man? So much of the game isn't told in
okay,
cutscenes.
I will give you
it's
that.
kind of happening
the memories
off
and
stage.
The way that you have to do that is it's not in your face. I will give you that. And that is kind of indicative of the fact that it's a open world game, but they could have done it in a way that is
yeah, there's a way for them to do it
more in your face. Yeah.
Another thing too, and you kind of alluded to this when you're talking about how they kind of point you in which direction,
I feel like that's one part. I feel like there's two main storylines. There's like the upheaval thing, and then there's Zelda getting sent back, and what's happening to Zelda. I feel like that's more not even the real main story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was more true in Breath of the Wild where there were memories, because that's kind of how you figured out what happened in the lead up to the game. But like, I'm trying to think about, I could reference Wind Waker here. I don't think you've played Wind Waker, but it's the perfect reference point. I think as far as both of us have gone in this game, neither of us have seen Ganondorf yet, outside of the beginning cutscene and maybe in some memories, right?
Yeah. Not in the game yet.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, my food's here, so I'm gonna cut it short in just a second. In Wind Waker, you see the character, I think, on like 3 separate occasions. I'm trying to remember if that's true. Yeah, I think you see him on 3 separate occasions, right? And sometimes, you know, it leads to a fight with one of his henchmen or like a phantom version of him. And then eventually, you know, leads to a fight with the actual Ganondorf. Sometimes it's just a cutscene where he talks to you. But I was expecting like a lot more like concurrent involvement going on. You know, like I'm going to go through this area and then all of a sudden I'm going to have to fight him. And, you know, there's going to be kind of like a skill checkpoint and kind of like a story check-in where it's like telling you, like, this is where things are, you know. You know, maybe you're not strong enough to beat him yet, or he gets to run away. But I mean, these are personal gripes at the end of it. I think that
I think
these games value different things, and I think that's okay. I just think it doesn't necessarily make one better than the other.
And I think the argument against that and why that isn't in Tears is because that was in Breath of the Wild in the form of the Ganon Blights.
Sort of. Give me 1 second.
The Divine Beast, but everyone hated it. All right. Well, we'll have to cut this short. Travis is being different.
Well, he's probably going and tipping his DoorDash driver food because he makes a respectable income. And, you know, he can afford to tip his driver's food. But a majority of the lower class individuals that end up using these services puts them in a perpetual cycle of, you know, financial instability. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day on how corporate America takes it. Huh?
I just hate DoorDash, man. Delivery, I think these delivery apps have ruined delivery.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much worse now. Delivery drivers suck. And it's like, they're getting not paid enough to care. But
how else are you going to pay your devs $150,000 a year, man? By raping the consumer and raping the driver. Yeah.
The whole thing is screwing delivery.
I mean, the DoorDash app, I think, probably would work fine with a couple devs in place that take care of it and, you know, give it updates and stuff.
So Ganon Blights, I think we're just kind of lazy boss design, if I'm being honest. And I think that speaks to some of the issues I see with the new format. Is, I don't know, I think when you do things linearly, and you have like a higher quantity of areas to go through and you're trying to like trace a game through from start to finish instead of just creating a big open world and saying like, let them have at it. I think it forces you to bring more attention onto certain things, right? Because it's like, oh, how are we going to do a lead in from this to that? And then from here, how are we going to make this more impressive than the last dungeon? You know, and how are we going to create an interesting midpoint in the game that kind of really reels in the player's interest and gets them excited for what's to come?
Yeah, I get that. But you're wrong.
Yeah, and you're wrong too. So I think we'll handshake on that. We'll call it here.
I think we're all wrong. The only person right is Donald Trump, and that's why he should be president of the United States.
I did everything right, and they indicted me.
They indicted me.
They indicted me. God, there was
clip of the year.
There was another one where he was doing I mean, what an insane thing to say, just real quick. You know, just you're speaking to like your to like your loyalists, and you're like, I did everything right. It was a perfect crime, and they indicted me. But there's another one where he's doing a Fox News interview, and they're like, would you debate Ron DeSantis? And he was like, oh, I love to debate, and that's what I love. And it's so, like, sleazy and creepy sounding.
Anyways, that's the Yolo Braintrust signing off.
Do you guys, real quick, Bobby, any last words? You want to tell me that I'm wrong to my face one more time?
Is 3 rings as much stamina as you're allowed to get?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's Bobby, ladies and gentlemen. Which is also, it could be a lady's name or a gentleman's name. Shaw, you got anything for us?
I did everything right, and they indicted me.
And I've got one last thing to say myself. I did everything right. I did everything right, and they indicted me. The crowd loves that one, by the way. All right. Yolo Braintrust, signing out.